Hey Ollie, we've been praising mobile robots a lot in the previous episodes, but still, if we look outside, we do not see them too often yet. Why?
That's true, Matthias. And honestly, I am completely convinced that the mobile robot sector could grow much faster.
And we investigated this question and are happy to share our insights with you in episode 19 of the Automation Awakenings podcast.
Automation Awakenings, your weekly dose of best practices for logistics automation.
Welcome back. Happy to have you on board also this week. Together with me, as always, my partner in crime here, Oliver Zuchowski. And we're going to investigate a really interesting question today. And the question for this podcast is going to be, can the mobile robots sector actually grow faster than it does at the moment? And if yes, what are the reasons for keeping it from this growth?
Yes, Matthias. As you know, I'm convinced that it could grow much faster. And we see already good tendencies outside towards this growth. But we also know that there are some hurdles. And if we overcome them, and I mean together, yeah, with the suppliers, with the partners, we could, yeah, drastically increase the speed of or amount of AGVs out there.
And just a question before we deep dive into the inhibitors. Do you know with what sales rate or growth rate the whole sector is moving these days?
Yes, well, there are several different studies on that, and all of them come to different conclusions at the end. Um, the last years were already very strong. If you look into the future, they are, yeah, promising us growth rate between 10 to 20%,
Okay.
depending which study you are reading.
Okay. So now the big question is, what do we need to change as a community, so to say, to move towards those 20, maybe even 30% of growth rates per year? So let's take a look at our top inhibitors, or let's call them showstoppers, because it's simply easier to pronounce.
Yes, and I already have a very strong one, maybe an obvious one if you think about it, but I know that this is an inhibitor, and these are the costs per device.
Mm-hmm.
They are simply still too expensive, these mobile robots. And especially when thinking about implementations outside of high cost locations. I would say in the high cost location segment, we are pretty fine with the prices because we come to good ROIs already. But I know that as soon as we go to mid range countries or low cost, or how they are now called best cost locations,
Yeah.
where the operator salaries are so incredibly low, to be honest, that you will get to return on investment times which are 100 years or so.
Yeah.
And these markets will never be attractive um, to suppliers with robots that are on, yeah, this price range where they are at the moment.
Anything we can actively do to push the price reductions?
Yeah, sure. I mean, on customer side, we need to address this fact to suppliers, and I don't mean that they just simply reduce their prices, because this would be too easy, of course. And I know that many suppliers are having actually fair prices, and they are striving towards lower cost. But we need devices which maybe are not as fancy, not
Mm-hmm.
equipped with all features that are existing, but some special versions
Understood.
of mobile robots for for low cost
Yeah.
with maybe a sensor less or a cheaper sensor which is only certified for this special country. I mean, I would think as customer you would be open towards that
Yeah.
if you can calculate a business case then.
Yeah, and it's a bit in line with also the automotive industry, right? So you would have a Toyota being sold in, I don't know, 130 different countries with different, simply, lines of equipment that you can buy. Or I'm having a trouble to describe it, but you guys know what I mean. Probably when you buy it in a low cost area, you won't get it with leather seats and all the gadgets that you might get in US or Europe or Japan if you buy this car.
That's a good thought, yeah, to compare it with some cars which are out there. I remember here, it comes into my mind now. Do you still remember the Tata Nano?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember.
everything was an additional feature. You had to pay. And I think we also need to go towards that direction with the mobile robots. So for the Tata Nano, you had to pay like if the trunk is openable,
Yeah.
or even I think even the second door was a feature that you can open it. I'm not sure, but I think everything was like
Yeah.
at additional cost.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's why they had all kind of cost ranges, price ranges for that vehicle. And here we are not yet there in the mobile robots business.
Yeah.
Usually the providers have a certain version, then you can upgrade it here and there with an additional camera or 3D slam or stuff like that. But this, I expect much more flexibility here and more low-cost options.
Perfect. Good. With this being said, maybe let's jump on to the next point, which I would like to address. And that's also a quite clear one. And I think that still in the market, we have a lot of inexperienced customers. Let's call it that way. So simply there's still lack of knowledge concerning the automation technologies that are available. So really knowing about mobile robots, about the features, about the special functions that they have. Then also knowing and understanding your processes well, right? So really looking at your physical processes with the automation glasses on, and that goes also in line with actually seeing use cases in your environment, in your facility, and really pushing to get those use cases automated quick and nicely.
Yeah, these automation glasses are not yet invented, and we are even lacking possibilities to study automation, to study mobile robots, also at universities. I mean, here and there, of course, you will find some mobile robots topics, but we need much more of that.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find people with know-how in this business. So at the moment, you need to develop them yourself. And I mean, we are doing our best with our podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, to spread the word about mobile robots. But of course, this is not enough. We need much more of these initiatives.
Yeah, fully agree. Next
one, also very clear for me, we need to reduce the time of implementation. It really differs from vendor to vendor, but we need to get the mobile robots running faster after we unpack them in our facility.
Okay, yeah.
There are some very good examples, as you know, where actually after a couple of hours, and these are AMRs, they are running within a couple of hours for a simple use case. You do your mapping, you learn where is the source, the destination, and so on. so a simple use case is already running very fastly. Then, but this is not standard, right? For many other suppliers, still you need a real project and you need a lot of time even before as a preparation phase, but then also on site. And this is taking far too long at the moment, sometimes even weeks of stabilization. Then you face another trouble. Then you have the supplier needs to come back to your shop floor,
Yeah.
remap your structure. In worst case, you need to add some reflectors or whatever. This time needs to be reduced, and I think here also the suppliers who fix this point, who are able to implement their devices in a fast way, in the best case the customer can implement it themselves, they will be successful.
I think it goes really well with what I noted down, and that's actually the need for customization when implementing mobile robots. It's not a plug and play. So just let's stick with the Toyota example. You go to a dealership, you buy a Toyota. The only thing you need to do is tank it, and then you can start driving the car straight away, right? You don't need anyone to, I don't know, add additional features or rebuild the car. I mean, in most of the cases, at least. So it's really, start and go. For the mobile robots, it's totally different, as you said. So it's a real project. It takes time. It needs customization. And that's, of course, a big inhibitor for scaling, and also a big inhibitor for the providers, actually, because until today, most of them are still involved themselves in each and every rollout project. So they don't really, they don't really focus on producing. They focus also a lot on implementing.
Yeah, exactly. And they actually also want to be rather a hardware supplier than a project manager and an integration lead, right? But they have to be now, because this is just the only option they have.
Yeah. And that leads me to my next point that I have. And I think what would really help is like a large global integrator for mobile robots.
Wow, that's a good one.
So someone who's really doing the job on the shop floor, implementing, integrating those mobile robots for several suppliers. And then, as I said, best case, a provider that is available worldwide. So big corporations who have plants all over the globe can simply close a frame contract with this integrator and really push hard to get those AGV fleets onto the shop floor.
Yes, this is actually a very good bridge to the topic I wanted to mention, which is market fragmentation. And you mentioned already the integrators, but already on the AGV AMR vendor side, there's a huge jungle existing, a huge fragmentation available. As you know, sometimes it feels that every week a new mobile robots vendor is popping up somewhere on the internet. When you Google mobile robot, you will find, every time I Google it, I find new vendors somewhere on the market. And so we are still in a kind of exploration phase, startup phase. Here and there, you see that also, companies move together, they're consolidating, but this is still at the very beginning. So imagine this jungle of vendors, in addition the jungle of integrators, what we have at the moment. Imagine this in a consolidated way for the customers would be a dream, right?
Yeah, I think this fragmented market is simply so overwhelming and confusing to many people or many customers that are trying to get hold on that topic, that they are simply scared away and they're like, oh, okay, this is too crazy. I just continue doing it the way I did it before. I just don't have any nerves to go into that topic. So, I think this is totally a major problem. Plus, there is not this one global mobile robot provider that you can buy in China, you can buy in the US, you can buy in Europe, you can buy in Africa. I mean, some of our listeners might object to that because I know there is some of these companies already moving that way, but we are far away from a setup that, let's stick with Toyota, Toyota has all over the globe, right?
Right.
And that, by the way, also goes for Toyota forklifts. I bet you can get Toyota forklifts everywhere.
Yeah,
Or Jung Heinrich.
for sure. Yeah, and that's an interesting point, actually. There are these big players. If you think about, I call it old school logistics hardware.
Yeah.
Let's go with the forklifts. There are 4 to 5 global players available worldwide, and you just choose whoever actually is cheaper or fits better in terms of locally available, or very easy. It's a very easy selection at the end, and also the differences, if we are honest, are not so big for the old school hardware.
Yeah.
For mobile robots, it's a completely different story. If you want to automate, you need to work with companies you would never imagine as a cooperation partner, maybe,
Yeah.
because they're still small. They have maybe, I don't know, 50 employees or even less.
Yes. Yes.
They are manufacturing, and it's a real manufacturing
Yeah, we've seen
of
those
mobile
lines.
robots.
Yes. Yeah.
They are producing maybe also 50, 100, best case 200 of these mobile robots per year. So they are pretty small, and you need to work with them at the moment to kick it off. But this is can't be the future, and this leads you as a customer also to a fragmented portfolio within your company. And I know that now you have another inhibitor.
Yeah, indeed, I have one more, but it moves away a little bit from the fragmented market and the providers, and it rather looks to the periphery. So what do I need to use a mobile robot in my facility? And this is where all this infrastructure topic comes into play. You need Wi-Fi coverage everywhere. You need really good and well-maintained floors. No cracks or, whatever, steps in it. It needs to be even. It needs to be clean. You need aisles with a certain width. So all of the, let's say, circumstances, like all of the periphery that is needed, is also a inhibitor, because you need to do a lot of homework before you can actually roll out a mobile robot. And I think, again, this is also scaring away some people from really going that way, because obviously it's a pain.
Yeah, and it's not so clear, on the customer side. Is this crack too big? Is my Wi-Fi connection stable enough?
Yeah,
How do you know?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I have another big one.
Okay, then let's round off with the big one.
Limited industry standards. And this goes together with the market fragmentation. And you will love this point, I'm sure, because you know what I will tell you now. You cannot buy all devices to automate your intralogistics from one vendor.
That's right.
It's just not possible. Not yet.
Yeah.
So to have an optimal setup within your plant, you need to source from different suppliers. And now you know what happens. They meet each other. These robots will meet each other, and they will not recognize the other device as mobile robot, but just as obstacle.
Yeah.
And here we need proper industry standards, how to organize this traffic. And fortunately, there is already the famous VDA 50/50 initiative. And I think they just released a new version, or are in the process of releasing a new version. And this is exactly what we need. but it's still not yet 100% mature, as we talked about it in our other episode.
Episode 13, by the way. So if you
Yeah.
guys want to go back to it and learn more about VDA 5050, be our guests. And now back to Ollie.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we learned there, we are on a very good way. For some use cases, it's already working fine, but we need to further develop it, especially when it comes to the topic of a common mapping between
Yes.
different vendors and so on. We could talk a lot about this topic now, but to summarize it for this point now, we need more of these worldwide available industry standards.
Yeah. Standards, or just call it interoperability
Yes,
of different fleets.
correct.
And yes, we are still in a quite early phase of figuring out on how we want to use different fleets with each other on the same shop floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
What else do we have?
to be honest, I think these are my top inhibitors that are keeping us as a community and the mobile robots market as an industry away from growing even bigger. And I'm totally advocating or arguing to get a hold on these topics and to start in small steps. First small step, and this is something all of us can do, is to really build up knowledge on this topic. And again, warm welcome to the podcast. This is exactly our mission. So we hope we can support you on that road. And the other things, of course, are also to be solved. And I'm really curious to be part of this journey and to hopefully contribute to make mobile robots way more accessible than they are today.
Yes, so let's master these inhibitors together to increase the speed and the growth of the mobile robot sector.
So with these words, we hope to see you back next Monday to build up some more knowledge and to share some experience. Until then, we wish you a great rest of the day. Take care and goodbye.
Goodbye.
This was another episode of the Automation Awakenings podcast. Visit us at automation-awakenings.com.